While the championship might be over, as we saw last week, there are often still wonderful surprises in store in the last races of the season. Prix returning to the top step was an unexpected but popular win. So will the classic venue of Long Beach keep up the action? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Before IndyCar took over, this track was the home of the U.S. Grand Prix for F1. Let's see what this vintage car will be up against in the modern version of this circuit with our track guide. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Well, tight and narrow and very technical. This is kind of your typical street track here, Joey.
It is a very daunting track with concrete walls everywhere. Like you said, a typical street track, but Long Beach, 11 turns, just shy of 2 miles in length. And there are a few passing opportunities here. It kicks off immediately down into Turn 1, that sharp left-hander, but you got to get single file quickly through that fountain section. You go through a little bit more of a technical kind of first half of this racetrack and then blast out of Turn 8 down Seaside Way, which is known as the back straightaway. Another good passing opportunity going into Turn 9 there, which is known as the Firestone turn. And then you guys are going to watch everybody just kind of take differing lines through that sweeping Indy left-hander and into the hairpin. One of the most narrow sections on any racetrack you're ever going to see. You got to be careful of the inside wall, got to be careful of the outside wall, and got to be careful of traffic in front, behind, and all sides of you going through there. But after that one, it's just a blast to start finish.
Yeah, and it's also honestly a blast driving around here in general, I'd say. As we take a look at the F1 driver standings, as I mentioned, Juan Costa wrapped it up early. We kind of expected that from the very beginning of this season when he kind of set down the marker. But Gernot Prix, with his win, has pumped himself up into second. Now, he's not here today, so he could still lose that spot. I'll have to check and see what this will mean drop-wise for him. Juho Reina is the one chasing him, with Timothy Reed, who's had a little bit of a better time taking the championship over in the Camel Series, but is still up in the top 5 in this series. So very good at these high downforce cars, obviously, with Jason Clapper at a tie with Pepe Fuentes. We'll see where that goes as this race goes on and who winds up ahead. We also have an F2 standings. Joey, where's that one sitting?
Barry West is pretty much just standing on top of it right now. I'm not sure about the drop weeks, but he looks to be in command. Then there's a 4-point gap between second and third place of Keith Herner and Pablo Suarez. Little bit of a gap there, but then another good battle, a three-way battle between Sam Ryman, Shady Ahmad, Bjorn Ackerman, only separated by 9 points each there. That's your drivers in 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then another great battle between Kurt Clapper, Thomas Silbernagel, and Robert Simpkins, only separated by 5 points to settle out what will be that 8th place position.
As for the race itself, it'll be 29 laps because they get around here so quickly. It's open setup. I got to think we're going to see drivers try and crank some wing into it, especially with these slower sections. They don't have a spare car, though. So if you hit one of the many walls around here, it's going to be either limp it around and try to bring it home or take it into the pits to get whatever you can repaired. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, DQ at 25. Probably not as big of a concern at this place because I think the only 1X you can get is off at the fountain, if that. And I've only ever seen someone fly into there once over my time. So we'll watch out for that. Regardless, right now, Pauli Partanen has the provisional pole after setting our first couple lap times in, but we're still waiting on guys like Jack David Spickett to set a time and seeing where they stick themselves. Jukka Tolinen is the outside of that front row.
Right on board here with Jack David Spickett through that final back straightaway turn around this Indy left and into this tight hairpin here. You guys are going to see how tight and how slow the cars really have to navigate that final turn.
He's to the line. This will be his first time lap. Let's see what he gets as he crosses a 1:10.780. That's good enough for 5th. It'll put him ahead of Daniel Gomez. Pablo Suarez also getting ready to set his first time, but he's still early in the lap here, heading on to Seaside Way. Tracks it out. Leaves a little bit of space for himself, it felt like.
And here on a street track, usually the fastest competitors, they are all the way up against those concrete walls, taking advantage of the apex curbs. Just every single millimeter of track, they are going to use it.
Looks like Partanen's second lap improved down to a 109.4, still on the pole position. Suarez now coming to the line, and he's going to set a 111.4. So that's going to be actually farther down the order. He's only 9th out of our 15 drivers that are out here. I think 16, actually, I should say. Is head back to Jack David Spickett on his second time around to the hairpin once again. He's been shuffled back to 6th. Can he get any closer to that pole?
JDS had a really good run in the Lotus 49s yesterday, grabbing his first podium. See if he can transfer that momentum here into this lap. See if he can shuffle himself up a little bit. Looks like he jumps up into the 5th spot with that second lap.
But then he gets pushed down again as Pepe Fuentes goes up to 3rd. An excellent run for the number 4 car. So he has found some speed here at the end. Once again, we're back with Pablo Suarez. We're still missing lap times from Nathan Finnegan, Molitor, Viakainen, Jason Clapper, and Antonio Alvarez. But Finnegan's the only one out on track, so nobody else among them can set a time. But Finnegan is only starting his first one, so he's only going to have enough time for a single lap out here. Tolinen, what can he do against his Finnish rivals? He's slow, so he's going to abandon that last lap, unfortunately. We're going to switch over here to Finnegan, who is just out of the fountain section.
Through turns 4 and 5, the more technical area of the racetrack, I think. You actually have to be really careful on that exit right there. You see a lot of drivers jump the apex curb and get into trouble into that outside wall through the Tecate turn, up and over some of the only elevation here at Long Beach, and then down through turn 8 and down Seaside Way, the back straightaway.
So Finnegan now flying towards the braking of Firestone turn. He'll need this lap to count. He doesn't want to brush the wall anywhere or have a spin, or else he'll be slotted into the back. And just as I say that, he has both. A big slide and into the wall he goes. So he will start from the back of the field. And that is it for our drivers attempting to qualify. The grid is set here today. And Pauli Partanen is on the pole. Juho Reina will be starting from second position with Pepe Fuentes in that fight for, I believe it was 8th position in the points, is going to be starting from 3rd. So in a much better spot than Jason Clapper. Jukka Tolinen will start from P4, and Dylan Freckleton is in 5th. Then you've got Jack David Spickett starting from P6. Inside of the 4th row has Daniel Gomez there in 7th, and then Barry West hoping to add to his tally in a very healthy way here in the top split in the F2 Championship, starting 8th, as Pablo Suarez will be P9, and then Keith Herner rounds out your top 10.
We have Carlos Guerra here in the 11th spot. Next to him is going to be Brian Molitor in 12th, and then is going to come the drivers that did not put down a qualifying time but will start the race. Kimmo Viilakainen, Nathan Finnegan is going to share row 7 with him, and then Jason Clapper and Antonio Alvarez will share row 8 at the back of the field.
So there you go, starting order for today. And it's a very cool track out here right now, 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius. And the drivers are going to have to try to get the tires up to temperature out here without putting themselves at too much risk, which will be an interesting task. And so will trying to watch out for the bumps here. I always found this to be an interesting car, Joey, on bumpy circuits, because naturally the setup wants the car to be sucked close to the ground.
Yeah, you're right. These Lotus 79, they make the majority of the downforce with the underside of the cars. It's kind of like a vacuum sucking the car down towards them. And if you jump the car out, it kind of it releases all of that air from the underside of the car, and all of a sudden all that grip, all that downforce is just completely gone. It's one of the nuances of this specific car. The newer cars with the front and rear wings, they make their grip totally different than how these cars do.
So everybody's going to have to be on their toes out there to make sure that they don't lose that grip at an inopportune time and keep it within the walls and not hit them. Still waiting on a number of drivers to grid up here for this race. Everybody waiting awful late out here, strangely. So not sure what's going on with that. Hopefully we should have most of the front of the field on there in time. But now as they start to plop themselves on the grid, what kind of race are we going to get today? Can Jason Clapper chase down Fuentes from the back like Jason traditionally does, starting from the back every time? Doesn't probably care as much about that 8th position, just wants a good race out there. As you can see, still waiting on the last of the cars with 20 seconds to go. Finally, we get our pole sitter out there, and eventually the front rows finish it up. So I think that is going to do it for everybody needing to be on the grid now, and we wait for us to start to get the lights. Looks like maybe somebody is missing because they're still waiting all the way to 2 minutes, and now that is timed out, the engines begin to rev for the last round of the season, and the Lotus 79s, the lights are up, and the green flag is out off the line. Initially, Reina does not look very good. In fact, he gets some wheel spin, and he's already swamped by both Tolanen and Fuentes, who go around either side. And here comes Dylan Freckleton, trying to see if he can also go by the slow car, but down to the inside. One of the fins there, I think that is Fuentes, not a fin, actually. He tries to make a move, but unable to do it. Into the fountain section, they go single file for the most part, and I don't see any accidents so far.
Now, Brian Molitor got a little bit of wheel spin, and he made contact with the front wall on the initial start, but single file up through, now down into the Tecate turn number 6. Little bit of look from Kimmo Viilakainen in that white and purple car further back.
And Juho had another problem, lost control of the car into the left-hander of Tecate. That meant Freckleton was able to sneak by him into 4th place. It's been a great start there for Dylan, but Tolanen up 2 spots since the beginning, and we're not even done with lap 1 yet. So far, I haven't seen any major wrecks, although they are fighting hard in this group.
The big mover is that white and purple car I mentioned, and Kimmo Viilakainen already up 5 positions. Now he's on the back of Barry West as we complete lap number 1 here at Long Beach.
Credit to the skills of these drivers, as we haven't seen a single wreck here, but Brian Molitor must have hit something because he's got a black and orange flag and he's headed into pit lane. A bit of a shame there. Must have just clipped the wall or something wrong. As a look down to the inside, Viilakainen having a poke at it, but can't quite get by Barry West. So Barry West doing a good job playing defense now.
I tell you what, if Kimmo's able to get by Barry here in the next couple corners, this is going to be very impressive because he's got less than that little mini straightaway to catch up to the rest of the front pack. this could be huge in terms of track position. There we go. Barry West has a problem, and he's into the wall.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Barry prides himself on just trying to get to the ends of these races without problems, and only on lap 2, he has binned it just directly into the tire barrier. Back to Freckleton, who still sits in 4th. He's chasing on Pepe Fuentes, but Juho is close behind and wants that spot back.
The run out of the hairpin corner. Everybody gets pretty good traction coming out. I think everybody's tires are finally up to temperature here. We're going to see what everybody's pace is. This is a very single-file racetrack. You really have to get your elbows out and force a move into one of these braking zones.
Absolutely. It's going to be difficult, so track position will be key here today. Back with Finnegan now, who also started from the back, still sitting in 12th, up 2 spots, but that's because of Barry West and Brian Molitor's incidents there at the start of this race. So inherited them easily, but will the passes come just as easy for him? Oh, very close in front of him there. That was Gomez taking a look on Guerrera in the 14.
And this is the battle for 8th, and it goes all the way from 8th place of Pablo Suarez. He's the white car leading it. Really, it's Keith Herner all the way back to Antonio Alvarez in 14th. This is just a train of cars.
And Gomez is a little bit out of position here. He lost 4 spots at the start of the race, so he's probably going to be the one most eager to try and make some overtakes now. Nobody able to get their nose in down in the Firestone, so we come back to our leaders, where Juho is still on the gearbox of Dylan Freckleton. He's also got Jack David Spickett close behind him, so we're seeing some of these trains form that you were talking about, Joey.
Hard onto the brakes here into turn 1, and it's just a product of Long Beach. You just have to force a mistake out of the competitor in front of you. You see with these onboards, there's just not a whole lot of room to place your car other than the racing line.
And it looks like Gomez was able to get one down into turn 1, snuck past Guerra, and that's one down. Let's see if he can catch up to Herner. Up next is look at how tight to the back of Fuentes Freckleton is getting. Recently been getting himself some podiums in this series, although they're still difficult for him to accrue. He's going to try his best to see if he can add to that tally here today, if he can just get by that number 4.
I always think we see a few different faces of Dylan Freckleton out here, and a lot of times he's having to fend off competitors from behind, but today he's on the attack. We're going to see what he can do in that purple number 6 machine. Honestly, I thought it was going to be more Juho Raina starting to work his way up through it, but it's really been Freckleton that's kind of showing me that he's got the speed in this 4-pack.
Yeah, I agree. He's been looking quick and opportunistic. And so far, it's done him well, but he's going to have to maybe get a little bit trickier on Pepe Fuentes, who's not making any mistakes yet, as we look back once again to those behind. Another move there. Gomez, I think, or was Guerra trying to hold back Finnegan. But, and back to Reina as Freckleton taking a look on Fuentes. Action everywhere you look around here. We're only on lap 5, and drivers are not wasting time.
And I'm curious, if Freckleton is faster than Pepe Fuentes, if he's being held up right now, how much faster is Freckleton? Because our leaders of Partanen and Tolvanen aren't doing that much faster lap times, only about 2 or 3 tenths faster. So I think Dylan might have a fast piece underneath him today.
Yeah, I think you're right. Don't need to go there, but Finnegan was able to, or Clapper was able to overtake Finnegan. In fact, there he is right there, down through Firestone turn and into the Indy left. Just got a better run out of there. It was Finnegan who was trying to pass Guerra down in turn 1 before, and I don't think he's even going to get an attempt this time. He's so far back there as we come back to our leaders already into the Fountain turn. This is all behind Fuentes. It's 3rd place, leading the being the Pied Piper as they have this train of 4 trying to make up the position. You can see just in front of them, if they can make up the gap, Partanen and Tolvanen are up in front of them. It's only about 3 seconds, but they're going to have to do something soon to catch them up.
Well, cue the Jaws music, because one car that we mentioned at the very beginning, he's been quiet since, Kimmo Viilakainen. He's right here going down the back straightaway, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now, and he is hunting down that 4-pack. That includes Freckleton, Fuentes, Reina, and JDS.
And remember, Juho Reina is trying to get second place away from Gernot Friese here, so he wants the best finish possible in this situation. Freckleton would probably like to overtake Timothy Reed in fourth, so he's also trying to go for whatever he can to jump up. One last spot at the final gasp here as we watch from JDS at the back of this train. It still sits where he started this race. Isn't going to be able to make a move down into the fountain section this time as they all scythe their way through there. Yeah, Viilakainen is approaching very quickly. That last lap for him, a 1:10.7 Spigot. Slower actually by 0.06 of a second, so maybe not that quickly, but he is gaining.
Freckleton is just all over the back of Fuentes, and it's kind of the rubber band effect that he's catching them in areas that he might not want to, and when he does, he kind of trips over himself a little bit, like right here. Juho Reina's right on the back in the slipstream. He's going to poke the nose, and actually Reina's going to way down on the brakes into turn number 9. He passes Freckleton.
Coming through. He is not taking no for an answer, and great job by Freckleton to see that one happening and leave him some space. So Fuentes got it done. He's back up into third. Now can he Reina got back up into fourth. Now can he catch Fuentes just in front of him? And what happened by Finnegan there?
I think this is Clapper. Clapper just got out wide in front of him, got into Daniel Gomez, I believe. That's with the car right in front of Nathan Finnegan, and unfortunately contact with those two cars. Watch the white and red car. That's Jason Clapper. He's going to go out wide here in the sweeping left-hander and loses control.
Yeah, thought he had the job done, and then suddenly back comes Gomez and is able to kind of shovel him out of the way. As that car, a little bit of contact between them. I think they should be able to get away with it. Clapper falls to 12th because of that. Fuentes, like I mentioned, still in P3, is looking much better at this stage as we ride on board with Dylan now. He sees that car in front of him, probably thinks, all right, if you can do that, let's see if I can do it back.
I really do think that Freckleton is still the fastest, although he pushes way out wide there on the exit of the hairpin. That's going to allow Jack David Spigot behind him the good run down into turn 1. Let's see if he's close enough here. He's using the slipstream. I don't think he's quite close enough, but Juho proved me wrong just a couple laps ago, and Freckleton is able to maintain that 5th spot. But Joe, this is kind of what I've seen out of Dylan, is that he has some tremendous races, but sometimes I think the mirror can become his windshield too much.
I thought for sure he was going to slap the wall there, the way he slid out of the corner. I almost wonder if it slowed up JDS, that he had to check up so they didn't run into him. But regardless, the positions stay as they were as they fly down into turn 6 and up and over the crest here. Nobody able to make any sort of inroads. Kimmo Viilakainen, though, has joined the party. It is now a 5-car train.
Sometimes you got to be greedy as a race car driver. And oh, what happened there? I see JDS just kind of pull over and let Kimmo by. I wonder if that was a move that he saw this car approaching the last few laps and said, hey, you know what? I don't have the pace to go up there and fight with these guys. You go at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was intentional because he typed in pass left in the text chat. So I think it's exactly as you said, unless he somehow maybe got a cut course he had to serve, which is a possibility through that corner leading onto the backstretch. But I'd have to go back and watch to see if he was too far inside, and that's the case. Regardless, this means Viilakainen is now up 7 positions into P6. Can he do the same to Freckleton, to Juho Reina, and get himself into the top 5 here as this group flies through turn 5 and down towards 6 once again?
Well, I think Fuentes has become the cork in the bottle again. This time it's Juho Reina that's filling his mirrors. Like you mentioned, Viilakainen is about to join the party. JDS is still there, but I wonder if Freckleton can focus forward, get back around Juho, and ultimately end up on the podium, or if Reina's going to be the one to open the door around Fuentes.
Had a little problem, Daniel Gomez getting out of the fountain section and spun up the tires. That lost him a spot to Keith Herner, who's now into ninth. It's been a little bit frantic down there in the mid-pack and towards the back of the field, which is to be expected often here. In fact, looks like we got a replay of his corner exit. One of the things that, we talk about a lot with these cars, Joey, is the way that it does not like these slow turns.
Yeah, you're right. Just a little wiggly through the fountain section, and unfortunately that kind of unraveled things for him. And you're right, Joe. These cars, they make their grip in the medium to high speed sections where they have the aerodynamic downforce pushing them down to the ground. Well, when you're in the slow speed corners, you don't have that air pushing you down to the ground, so you actually have less grip.
And that's why you see little mistakes like that in some of these slow corners that maybe look a little silly, but it's actually quite difficult in this car. Getting close to the halfway point still with Pepe just leading everybody along, and no one's been able to get close enough to try and make an attack. Since Reina's taken over that fourth spot, he's been sitting roughly 4/10 behind, and while he gets awful close there through the hairpin, that accordion effect is kind of a killer. It just kind of teases you.
I've got my eye on Kimmo, though, because he's quite close to Freckleton. Let's see how aggressive he is into the brakes. You see Freckleton kind of using the middle of the racetrack a little bit, and Villaikainen almost into the back there of that purple car right in front of him. I think that Kimmo is on a one-way mission, and that's through these cars.
Wow, that was mighty close, but trust between these drivers is very high. They race against each other frequently. Yes, this is an official series and anybody can join, but it's a small, tight-knit group, and often it's the same guys you see week in and week out during the strength of field split on Sunday afternoons. So flying back onto the back stretch once again, Villaikainen proving to be incredibly fast today, and in fact his best lap is about 4/10 quicker than all three of the drivers in front of him right now. So this could be all three positions ripe for the picking for him.
See what kind of run they all get out of the hairpin here, and actually a decent run from Freckleton putting the power down, but it's Fuentes that's going defensive already on Juho Reina. I think that Juho's actually closer than Villaikainen. Here we go. Battles on for third place going down into turn one. Juho around the outside. He's given room, and now we're going to go into side-by-side into the fountain section. Fuentes finally checks up.
Holy cow, and somehow there was no wreck despite Freckleton getting a hit from behind. Villaikainen nearly shoving him out of the way through there. Actually sent him a little bit through the flowers. And here I said I hadn't seen anybody in there for some time. Wonder if that did give him a 1X. He's not going to be able to try and pass him down into turn 6, but things have suddenly come alive.
Every time I see that fountain section, I know it was, Interlagos that Alonso was on the side of the track, but it's meant for him to be hanging out over there in the lawn chair.
Exactly. It's perfect for it. Let's take one more look at that. Yeah, that side-by-side in the checkup there that Fuentes had, it caught everybody else out. Watch Freckleton.
Lawn mowing. Oh, my goodness. And, props to Kimmo for not getting into the back of Freckleton here as we take a couple looks at it. Joe, I think it was just because Fuentes, they were side by side. Nobody goes side by side into the fountain turn. It checked everybody up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, the farthest car back there, Villaikainen, just had no idea that everybody was going to be so slow into there. This time, they're a lot safer through there. Speaking of Alonso, Pepe Fuentes right now, sporting his helmet on top of it as he's still running for this third position. Reina has held him off at least for the time being. A little bit of blinking, unfortunately, so hopefully that internet connection will hold up until the end of this race. Oh, and Villaikainen is going to lose out to JDS now.
I wonder if that was a little bit of a slowdown issue. No, that was just a mistake out of Kimmo here. We're going to catch it on the replay. Watch how yawed out this car gets through the Tecate turn. This left-hander here, what a save.
have to confess, I've done this a lot out of this corner. It feels like the car's going to grip up. You think you can get on the throttle, and then suddenly it just wants to give way on you. Doesn't seem like the grip is there, and that cost him that spot. Here we thought Kimo was going to be the one charging forward, and instead he's moving a little bit backwards. Back up to our leader. We haven't really turned the cameras to Pauli Parton in almost this entire race, and behind him, Tolanen's keeping him honest, but he's not a threat right now.
About 1.5 seconds back, and I think that's just, they're both climbing the hill right now. Tolanen doesn't have the aid of the slipstream pulling him along, so you're looking at two very evenly matched racing car drivers.
See there on that angle heading onto the backstretch, the way they slide across the track as well, bounding over those bumps. And the two teammates down into the end of the backstretch. Now definitely past the halfway point of this race, and so far it's theirs for the taking. Reina's 8 seconds off of them currently, so nowhere close to being a problem. We're watching now from the tail of that train, or what was the tail of that train, until Spickett got over via Kynan, trying to chase down Juho up at the front of it. It's more spread out than we've seen before, though.
No, but I think we're getting ready for round 2 here, Joe, because Reina's starting to take off a little bit from Fuentes, and he's starting to hold up Freckleton, JDS, and Villaikainen again. I know you say it's spread out, but it is starting to condense one more time.
I have a feeling we're going to see that back and forth quite a bit as drivers go in the attack, then have to back off and reassess and go at it again. The number 7 car gets back his spot where he began this race, but Freckleton is also in the same spot where he began. Going to see if he can re-overtake Pepe Fuentes once more. Pepe, having lost out to Juho Reina, is now off the podium. And as they come down the backstretch, it's close, but not close enough. Freckleton's going to have to get a little bit more up on top of the wheel.
And I feel like we've really talked about these cars getting around Fuentes, but you got to give credit where credit is due, and Pepe's done a tremendous race, with the exception of Reina getting by him. He hasn't made any sort of mistakes up there in that 4th place position, so he's having a good race, and it's not always easy racing when your mirrors are full every single lap.
Well, and especially at a track like this where you have to be focused forward. Freckleton's doing all he can to try and distract him as he just poked his nose out coming down into the first turn once again. But it goes back to single file here through the fountain section until it opens up once again past the parking garage and past under the bridge once more. A little bit more of that elevation change as it runs over this crest and down to the braking zone. Look at him. He's still trying to frighten him off the racing line wherever he can.
Yeah, you're really deep into some of these turns, just trying to use up that entry speed. But then, crucially, out onto the back straightaway, gets the nice launch as we ride along board in the Pepsi machine of Jack David Spickett here. He's been the one that's just watched the battle all day long, just kind of waiting for it to come to him.
Yeah, Jack David Spickett is a wily character when he knows how to be. And right now he's trying to use every trick he can, but it's so limited around here on what you can do. That was a pretty good run, though. He might get a pull from Freckleton. He's starting to feel the effects, but will they run out of straightaway? Freckleton slightly defensive, and a tiny look from Spickett, then decides against it and comes back to the racing line.
The way that front straightaway arcs around to the right, it kind of provides a natural defensive line if you want to, and I think that's what we're seeing out of Freckleton, just kind of move it to the middle of the racetrack, just dissuade JDS from any of those late braking moves that he might be tempted by.
We've only lost Molitor and Alvarez so far from this race, so we thought attrition would be a part of it, but like we said, top split, so this is all the cream of the crop out here. Aguirre, unfortunately, did have a problem that he had to repair, and he's now 3 laps down from the leader, so he's pretty much out of this race and is hoping to pick up the scraps if we do get others that are going to have issues. But Freckleton getting mighty close down in the Firestone turn behind Fuentes. Can't do anything with it. He'll look for the corner exit. Oh, but it is a miserable corner exit for him.
What I'm worried about here with this purple number 6 is that it seems like he's getting a little bit desperate on some of these braking zones. He's going charging in there with his hair on fire, and while that's good, right, you can make up some time there, you just have to judge that closing gap, that closing rate to that car in front of you. Make sure you don't get into the back end, or even worse, misjudge it yourself, go too deep and end up in a wall.
And around here, there's only a couple corners where you can afford to do that and have something to run off into. Otherwise, you're blasting into the concrete. And, oh, there it is. He's going to try and get his nose underneath him. He's given space by Fuentes, but just enough, and it's not going to make the pass happen. He's got to watch out there, because look at from onboard Spigot here. He knows that if he gets him offline, he can pick that piece up. Whoa, he got into the wall.
Fuentes, yeah. He must have got into the wall on corner exit there at turn number 8, and it shuffled everything around. We didn't really get to see it because there's all sorts of bridges and overhangs there. We're going to have to get a replay of that one, Joe.
So this was strange. It wasn't the outside wall. He weaved to the inside to try and cover them off. Watch this. And
maybe wheel spin?
Maybe. Doesn't look like it. I think he was trying to defend and just was not paying attention.
Joe, if you look, there's so many cutouts on that wall. I think he just went over on the right side of the wall when there was a cutout and didn't realize the wall was coming back towards him.
Exactly. Well, that was an unusual but costly mistake that's put him down to 6th place. Freckleton's back up to 4th. Spigot is in 5th. And poor Viakainen still was not able to overtake him. I'm actually kind of impressed that Fuentes doesn't have more damage. Oh, and Finnegan goes around completely. Full 360 spin at the first corner.
Thankfully, didn't hit anything. I think I saw Daniel Gomez was able to go up into that 9th place position because of the spin. But I'm curious, does Jack David Spigot continue the assault on Freckleton, or does Dylan finally say, hey, I've got clean air. I'm going to turn off my relative. I'm going to turn off my mirrors and just go put my visor down.
He gets a good run off of the hairpins, so that'll do him good right there. Although Spigot looks pretty good on traction because he starts to catch him back up. Batteries, he's got less wing in it.
Traditionally, I've seen JDS run pretty low wing on other circuits. I don't know what he's doing here, but you're right, Joe. He does seem to have a very fast car in a straight line.
That was Barry West that they lapped there. He's just trying to stay out of the way. He's not fighting anybody. He had that incident early on, and so he's fallen to the back of the field of those running. Keith Herner's now out, so Guerra should at least get one more out of Keith's problems. But we continue to watch Spigot versus Freckleton. Freckleton's now got that spot that he'd been trying for so long. Can he prevent any more mistakes out of this?
And I'm looking at timing and scoring. Once they've gotten by Fuentes, these cars, they are certainly coming alive right now. 110.5 from Freckleton that last time. Juho Raina 110.4, his fastest lap of the race, as you see purple from Jukka Tolonen, our 2nd place car. But it really is still condensed here between Freckleton, Spigot, and Fuentes hanging on to the back.
Coming down the straightaway, Shoreline Drive, takes him into the braking zone. JDS thinks about it, but then feels he isn't quite close enough yet. Still trying to hassle Freckleton into some sort of error that'll open it up for him. Can he do that in only 8 more laps?
Through turn number 4, and now over that bouncy apex curb of turn number 5. You were mentioning the bumps here. That is a great example of one of the big bumps here at this track.
Yeah, that is true. You don't want to go too far inside there because those curbs are made to prevent you, and these cars would probably be quite unhappy and damaged afterwards as they fly on the Seaside Way once again. Up ahead of them, Juho Raina's really appreciated all this battling behind him because look at how much distance he's now put between himself and Dylan.
Yeah, he's really taken off in that clean air and just said, peace out. Thank you very much. I think the biggest story to me between these cars is once Viakainen got that little mistake, I don't think he's ever had the tires to come back from it.
Yeah, it's been a bit unfortunate in that realm that you make that one mistake early and it kind of decides so much of the rest of your race. Fuentes here coming down through turn 1 with Spigot behind Freckleton down through the fountain section once again. Freckleton doing all he can to keep it smooth and online, knowing that it'll take a major mistake out of him to open the door. But boy, are they getting close to some of these exit walls.
I think the comfort level is finally there. They've done, what, 20-plus laps so far, and they've just finally gotten familiar with those concrete walls.
Absolutely, and looks like we're not going to get a pass here, at least, down into Firestone Turn. But they remain within range of one another, and that's the first part of the battle here, is just stay within touch with your rival. And then you got to figure out the more difficult part of actually overtaking as they all get nose to tail down through the hairpin. And once again, for the second time, Freckleton slides off the hairpin.
Yeah, now JDS is in position to make this pass. He's already under the wing. Driver's left he goes. It's a braking duel down into turn one. Who goes deeper? Side by side still. JDS has the inside, but now Freckleton's fighting back. He's got the inside for the fountain.
Oh, good respectful racing between them. Just enough space given, and somehow they actually took it side by side into there. Surprised Fuentes was not able to capitalize. Oh, was that a brush with the wall?
Yeah, it was, and now we're 3 wide into Tecate turn. JDS backs out. Freckleton somehow still defends the position, and here's Vilakainen. This is the break that he needed.
So Fuentes almost, into the wall goes JDS, clips the inside. Drivers have pushed it way too close, and now Vilakainen is going to take it 3 wide down into the braking. A Firestone turn, can he get it slowed up? He gets a 2-for-1, brilliant move.
What a move from Vilakainen in that white and purple car, now through the hairpin. You see Freckleton actually with another really poor exit, but all of these cars, I don't think any one of them has any sort of rubber left.
Wow. That was building up all race long, and just suddenly, in one moment, everybody was going for it. Vilakainen knew it. He saw both of them slow down the backstretch, said, now's my chance, and grabbed it. Great recovery from Kimo. That's going to get him into the top 5.
These awesome replays of that pass, and yeah, like you said, 3 wide into turn number 9, as you see. I believe that was Fuentes is now actually around Jack David Spickett. I wasn't sure that Fuentes got around him, but that's another position change.
Indeed. Still, though, that's 3 spots down from the start for Pepe. This has been probably a little bit of a disappointing one for him, knowing that he could have had a podium and was briefly in those top 3 spots. Will it change around yet again in the next couple laps? Vilakainen is starting to slide around a little bit there, so he may have used up some of his stuff in that situation.
See what kind of run they get out of that hairpin. Crucially, I think all of them are pretty equal on that power down exit phase through the hairpin, and so I don't think there's going to be any moves going down into turn 1. And I've actually noticed this out of the Fuentes machine. I think that he's running a little bit of a higher downforce level, Joe. Oh, no, Vilakainen into the wall. Fuentes spins as well.
And that means JDS now gets the 2-for-1 deal, except he doesn't have to pass anybody. He just avoids 2 wrecking cars and laps along his way into the top 5. I wondered, Vilakainen looked like that car was just starting to run out of grip, and lo and behold, it not only ran out of grip, but ran out of racetrack.
I think, though, I think both of these competitors got away with one. Let's watch from Fuentes. He's actually going to spin to the inside, trying to avoid the car right in front of him.
Shows his nose a little bit just to see if he can shake him. Maybe that's what put him out on it. They didn't touch as far as I could tell, but yeah, must have really caused him to crank the wheel trying to avoid running in. Let's see Jack's view.
Talk about threading the needle. Car on the right, car on the left, go through the middle, through the smoke. A little bit of a Cole Trickle moment.
Absolutely, and back up to 5th. I'd be curious to see the lap charts after this one, the positions that everybody's been in, because that group really swapped them around quite a bit. Back to Gomez. Now, he is another one that's been up and down the order himself. Oh, very wide in front of him. That's Pablo Suarez trying to hold him off, and he knows that he goes defensive immediately to try and block him off. But Gomez sitting ninth, Suarez in eighth, and then behind them, still in this, is Nathan Finnegan.
Yeah, Finnegan's had one of those up and down days. We've seen a few mistakes out of him, but this is a nice three-car battle here with 3 laps to go. Settle it out for this eighth place position.
All of them, yeah, I'm noticing a number of cars really sliding around a lot, which is interesting since it is so cool out there. It's still only 70 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface. I would expect this maybe if it was a very hot day on the track, but it's early in the morning. It's only 9 a.m. virtual standard time here in California, so the drivers haven't really been having to deal with it like you typically expect. This is a good run, though, from Gomez. He's right on top of Suarez. He's going to try and see if he can take it, but chopping down to the apex, Suarez says no.
Gotta be careful because Finnegan is right tucked up underneath that rear wing. You see poking a nose. That's not really a passing opportunity down into the hairpin. You always think it is, but trust me, it is a funnel that always closes.
Never ceases to amuse me that we see a Renault livery on a Lotus car with a Ford engine, but there's a big look down to the inside from Finnegan once again, and nothing doing.
Well, and I apologize because I'm terrible at names. Oh, and Finnegan with a mistake there through the fountain section almost got into the wall, but there's always the Target Champ car livery that comes out here as well.
Which is also its own thing. White flag is out for Pauli Partanen. Tolanen's behind him by about 3.5 seconds, so this has been nothing but smooth sailing as far as we've been able to tell for these two, and going to be essentially, I think, a finish sweep of the podium in the last round without Juan Mi Costa and without Gernot Frische to challenge them.
It's just kind of been putting one foot in front of the other for both Pauli Partanen and Jukka Tolonen. I have been kind of keeping an eye on it, Joe. It seems like they're playing chess with who gets that fast lap. One person will cool off their tires one lap and set the fast lap, and then it'll be the other the next time by.
And I think they're 10, yeah, they're 1/100th away from one another in difference on fastest lap right now. So it is close. We'll see if one of them can snatch it right at the end, but regardless who gets it, Pauli Partanen is gonna get the win as he drives to the line to take the final victory of the season here in the Sunday Grand Prix Series. His fastest lap remains the same. Tolonen crosses, and he does not improve it, but Partanen went quicker by just enough that he has taken that fastest lap now.
Yeah, sneaks it away at the end, but this is still that battle. Suarez leading Gomez, and then Finnegan, that darker car, the third car in line, blasting down Seaside Way. Let's see if Gomez is close enough. He's right there.
How aggressive is he going to be? This isn't for a high position, but it's the last lap of the last race of the season. He's going to go around the outside, and he makes it stick. Gomez with a gutsy move and well executed to boot. Covers the inside just to play it safe. Oh, but he gets turned around, and does Finnegan get the spot? No, they all trip over each other, and is Gomez going to lose out to Clapper, who tries to sneak him at the line? It's going to be close. Clapper gets all 4 spots. No, he gets 3 of them. Gomez just beat him right at the end. They were literally less than 1,000th of a second apart from each other at the line, but it was a comedy of errors out of the hairpin. Yeah, let's get it. Can we get a replay before we go to break here on that one? That was...
Joe, I'm looking at timing. They literally tied down to the 1,000th of a second, at least here on ATVO. So, I mean, talk about a photo finish.
That was just unbelievable stuff there. All started out when Gomez got hit by Suarez. Yeah, we're going to get one more look here before we take off. Runs into the back of him, sends him up in the air. Finnegan thinks, I can take it. I've never seen a car do a side hop like that. That was bizarre. That chucked him into the wall, poor guy. And then, yeah, at the line, I mean, you couldn't have put a hair between them. Incredible. All right. Well, we're going to catch our breath. We're going to come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Long Beach. We had a great race, although it wasn't a good start for some people, unfortunately, with Molitor running into the wall right at the beginning. Finland had a great day here in California, which probably unusual. They'd need a lot of sunscreen to typically do that. And Pauli Partanen wound up with the win as Jukka Tolvanen was second. And Juho Raina fought back into that third spot after he was up and down the order. Dylan Freckleton finished P4. Jack David Spickett was P5. I think he was happy with that one, considering all that he went through. Pepe Fuentes, he was looking at a potential podium, but it just wasn't meant to be. He had to settle for 6. Kimmo Viekainen at 7th. Daniel Gomez practically tied at the line, finished 8th ahead of Jason Clapper, less than 1,000th of a second between them. And Nathan Finnegan rounded out your top 10.
In 11th place, we have Pablo Suarez. And then comes the first car, one lap down, Barry West out there. Then we have Carlos Guerra, also a few laps down. The rest of them, unfortunately, DNFs on the racetrack.
Well, since we didn't get to show a whole lot of him, why don't we chat with Pauli Partanen and see what the race was like for him. Pauli, Jukka keeping you honest there, but didn't look like he was a threat most of the time. What did it feel like inside the car?
Well, this is hard track. Like Long Beach always very hard track. So if anyone is close to you, it's going to be hard because you cannot afford any mistakes. Then the man behind you will overtake you. So it was not easy. I'm sweating so much. It looked easy, but it definitely was not.
I can understand that sentiment. Now, you guys didn't have Costa here. You didn't have Freesia here. Did this feel like basically a Finnish playground tonight?
Yeah, this is Finnish championship nowadays.
You made it look like that out there, although that third place definitely changed hands quite a bit. So what you going to do for next season? Do you plan to be around a lot or is it going to be more of a partial season again?
Nah, no idea. Haven't really planned it. If I feel I want to race, I will race. Not really worrying about next season yet, but we'll do some races for sure. This is fun.
Keeps it casual, keeps you nice and fresh. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
That was Pauli Partanen, your victor here today. And the teammate that was trying to chase him was Jukka Tolvanen, and Joey has caught up with him.
Jukka Tolvanen, congratulations on the second place finish here at Long Beach.
Yeah, thanks. Not what I was wishing for, but the qualifying was again bad for me. I got on 0x on my second lap, so could not improve. So luckily I had at least some kind of lap from the first attempt recorded, but yeah, then I had to get those few spots in the start. The start was actually good, and I was lucky to get the second place even, but yeah, it's super hard to stay close to someone on a track like this and especially overtake. So at some point I a little bit gave up as Pauli got about a couple of seconds of matching, and then there was a close moment with the lapper, so then I was just trying to cool my tires down and do a fastest lap, but then Pauli stole even that fastest lap, so yeah.
I was I was noticing that chess game between you two about that fastest lap there, but I want to take a peek inside of your guys' team, if you don't mind here, between Pauli and yourself, because when you find yourself in second place chasing Pauli Partanen at a track like this, what is your mindset? How do you go up there and beat Partanen when he's up there laying fast laps like that? Because you are just as fast. How do you go up there and beat him?
Yeah, good question. Maybe I should concentrate more and speak less, since we are usually talking during the races in a voice call, so like today. So when I was chasing the championship, I was much more quieter than today, and today we were just joking around, and well, we were actually even talking about what we had for lunch today. That's not even a joke. So that tells something about these races where we just both try to have fun and don't practice too much and so on. So yeah, of course I'm driving as fast as I can, but it's not that serious. So yeah, I did a couple of mistakes in the draft, and then it was extremely hard to catch again. So I don't know, probably the result would not have been different anyway.
I love that response, Yuka. It's all about having fun, and it seems like you guys are just having fun even when you're racing out there. Before I let you go, anybody you want to say hi to?
Well, Pauli, of course, and it was full Finnish podium today. Congrats, Juho. You will get the win at some point, I'm sure. Keep doing what you do, and I guess Kimmo had an eventful race too. Can't wait to see the broadcast. So yeah, and thanks for you, the broadcast, and all the CDC guys as well.
Oh, that was Jukka Tolvanen coming home in the second place position today.
The man who came in third had to work pretty hard for it, even though he started in second. Juho, bit of a bad first lap, and after that, it looked like it was basically fight and claw your way back to where you began.
Yeah, that was basically how the race went. I don't think I have taken a single good start for the whole week. So at least it was nice to get the positions back, even though it was a bit close with Dylan.
Talk about that battle in the mid-pack there, because, I mean, it gave us lots of good excitement. We were enjoying it. Were you having fun?
Yeah, it was a bit hairy with Dylan. I thought that it was 50-50 if we'll make it through the corner, but fortunately it stuck. And obviously great respect with Dylan and great racing.
Yeah, it was, I mean, honestly, incredible racing. You'll have to go back and watch, because you'll be able to tell we were having a good time up here in the booth watching it. So what are your thoughts heading off into next season? It's a fresh start. I think you may have taken second off of Gernot Friesche. Can you move one step up and take a championship?
I don't know. It's too early to tell. It would be nice to get the win before thinking about the championship, but maybe. That is my honest answer.
That makes sense. I think that's a good goal to have first. Well, again, congratulations on the podium regardless, and we'll look out for you next season.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And I believe up next we got one more to let's go talk to one more, because we've got Kimmo Viekainen here with Joey Atterbury, who we saw have more craziness there throughout the race.
Well, talk about a little bit of an up and down race. You had a ton of excitement today, didn't you, Kimmo?
Yeah, I think I had everything today. I had zero problems at the practice session, and when we came to the race session, my wheel just disconnected, and I had no upshift or downshift buttons here. And then I go through all the panels from my PC and tried to find the USB port that works, and that's why I couldn't get a lap in at the qualifying. And well, the race start was pretty clean for me. I had pretty nice start, and overtook a few guys there, and then I managed to catch the pack and have a little battle with them. Had so much fun battling for a long time, so it was a nice race before I made my own mistakes because I hadn't had any race practice this week, and I couldn't manage the draft at all. That was my mistake, and I'm sorry for the guys for that mistake.
Well, it looked like from our point of view, at least, when you had that little mistake out of, I believe it was turn number 6, where you were able to save it, it seemed like you were overheating your tires a little bit. Do you think that might have been just the start of the downfall of the tires, per se?
No, I'm not so sure. I think I went too hot in that corner and lost the rear, but it's like a lap or two and the rears come back, so I don't think it's about the tires. I think I just went too hot when I tried to catch the guys in front.
Well, that is an honest answer right there. Kimmo, it's the end of the season. Anybody you want to say hi to, give a shout out to?
Of course, all the CTC drivers who comes up to the races. It's so much fun to battle with you guys, and big shout out to the Finns. We had so many good drivers here. It's always a pleasure, and thanks for you guys to making these broadcasts. It's nice to recap the race, and I think at least today we have something to watch.
Well, in my opinion, always one of the most exciting drivers on the racetrack. Coming home 7th today, that was Kimmo Viikainen.
And one last quick one. We've got Dylan Freckleton. We might as well chat with him because Dylan, like everybody else in that group, I don't think anybody from 3rd down to 7th was without mistakes, and that made it a heck of a race to watch.
Yeah, it was great fun. Similar to Suzuka as well, where there's sort of a pack of us that we all seem to end up racing together, but it's great fun. Some sort of hard racing, but it's all fair. You know, you always know you're going to get left space. Yeah, really fun to be involved in.
Now, what is it like, though, being in the thick of so much action and being here at Long Beach? Because, I mean, it's hard enough to race this track even by itself.
Yeah, there's no room for sort of error. I think I touched the wall, once or twice. I think I was a bit lucky to get away without any damage. But yeah, it's one where you've got to sort of keep your focus. You've got to be sort of aware of the drivers that are around you. But in this series, the drivers, everyone has so much respect for each other that, you're not going to have anyone throwing sort of silly moves or anything. It's all going to be fair.
Well, this was an awesome season to watch you continue to grow as a driver. And we look forward to having you back next season, sir.
Thank you very much.
Also, I think you have a fan in our director, Ryan Bauer. He's asking us to have you on more often. So thanks for chatting with us, Dylan.
Thank you.
Thanks also, of course, to the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thanks to the team today, Joey, Ryan, and Dougie. Also, make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race will be Sunday, September 17th, since it's week 13 next week, so we'll get a little bit of a day off, and that'll be at 12:30 p.m. Eastern once again. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts, though, because until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.
Yeah. Wow.